Hello friends, and welcome back to Swift Guitar Lessons. In today's session, I'm going to be showing you how to combine some basic bluegrass style rhythm with some classic flat picking licks. We're going to get started reviewing the theory behind one of the genre's most common chord progressions, the 1-4-5 progression in the key of G. From there, we'll learn a very common bluegrass style rhythm, then jump into the scales that we're using to create all these different licks. I got all the tabs available for you, as always, at patreon.com/swiftlessons. You can support the channel there for $1 a month and gain access to a ton of extra resources. Now, let's get started with your lesson. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, close look at the fretboard. Getting started with section 1 of this lesson, the 1-4-5 progression in the key of G major. So as covered in previous lessons, the numbers 1, 4, 5, which you hear in music all the time, refer to the notes in the G major scale. So these three notes are the root notes for the chords that will be in our basic bluegrass progression: G, C, and D major. Okay, and we call those 1, 4, 5 because, again, in that G major scale, G is the first note. Alright, then C is the fourth note. G, A, B, C. Okay, and D would be the fifth note. Okay, so the 1, 4, 5 of our G major scale reveal the chord progression: G major, C major, and D major. Okay, with a little theory out of the way, it's time for segment 2 of this lesson, the bluegrass structure and strumming style. So, every great lead guitar player has a firm understanding of the rhythm section they are playing over top of. This means that they know the chords that they're playing over top of, the structure of the progression, when the changes are coming in, and also the strumming pattern or the rhythm that's behind them. Let's review. Okay, so there's many different progressions in bluegrass music, but I'm going to show you today one that's based off of the common 12 bar. We'll have the G major chord for 4 measures. After that, we have the C major chord for 2 measures, back to the G major chord for 2 measures, a D major chord for 2 measures, then we're going to throw in an ending. G major chord for a measure. Then, on the next measure, we're going to play G, C, G for the ending of the progression. Okay, great. We have our example progression memorized. Now, let's play through those changes, but apply a very common bluegrass or country style strumming pattern. Sounds like this. It's a very simple strumming pattern, hitting the root first, strumming through on the second beat. Then we're going to play up, down, up. Root, down, up, root, down, up. And always remember, it's very good to count your beats as you're going through a strumming pattern, just to really get it down. So that would be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and... So nothing at all on the third beat. Now, that's a strumming pattern that you can apply to each of the 3 chords that we have in the progression. The G major chord, the root note is the low E string. Now apply that strumming pattern to the C chord, just move that first picked note down 1 string to the A string. That way your root note is C. The same thing is going to happen to the D major chord. Go down 1 string to the D string, open. To apply that strumming pattern to the D major chord. Okay, going through our chord progression now. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. C major. G major. D major. Just like that. Okay, great work everybody. You've memorized that theory behind the 1-4-5 progression in G major. You have down the bluegrass structure and that strumming style. Now we're jumping into segment 3 of this lesson, the major blues scales. Before I can show you the licks that I'm playing over top of that progression, I need to show you this one scale, but in the 3 keys, G, C, and D. Getting started with the major blues scale over G major. It's gonna sound like this. in that one octave for this lesson. So low E string, G, 3rd fret, low E string. Then we're going to play the open A string, find the B flat on the 1st fret, up to B on the 2nd fret, the open D string, find your E note on the 2nd fret, then the open G to find the octave. So many great flat-picking bluegrass licks are built off of that one position. Now we're going to apply that same thing to the chord C major. Basically, you're just going to move it down to the floor one string. So everything's starting off of the A string now. But we are going to end on a fretted note. So A string, 3rd fret, that's a C note. The open D, E flat on the 1st fret, 2nd fret, that's your E note again. The open G to the A note on the 2nd fret, and then end on the octave. C note, 1st fret, B string. Okay, so now you're able to play over top of a G chord, over a C chord. Okay, now applying that scale to the chord D major. It's going to look and sound like this. Alright, so many licks right there in that position for D major. Okay, so open D string, find your E note on the 2nd fret D string, F, going chromatic F sharp. So that was 0, 2, 3, 4. Alright, the 2nd fret of the G string, the A note, up a whole step to B, and then to the D note on the 3rd fret of the B string for the octave. One thing I want you to keep in mind that very commonly, we won't play that B note on the 4th fret of the G string. Rather, we'll just play the open B string. Flat pickers really love their open strings. Okay, excellent work everybody. You have that major blues scale transposed to 3 different keys. Key of G, key of C, and also the key of D. Now we're ready to jump into section 4 of this lesson, our bluegrass flat picking routine. Okay, following along using the tablature at patreon.com/swiftlessons. We're getting started with line number 1, going from a D major intro chord to the G major to start your progression. Real slow, it's going to sound like this, then I'll break it down. Okay, very, very simple. This is a very common kind of country trope here, taking that D major chord and sliding up into it. So the first 2 measures. All right, slide, down, up, slide, down, up, slide, down, up, slide, down, up. Just taking that D chord, sliding up into the position. Be sure to count it. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Next, we're going to have this very cool, very common bluegrass lick over G major. One more time. Okay, so we start off on the root note G, the open A string, the 1st fret hammer into the 2nd fret of the A string. So far you have the open D string, 2nd fret of the D string, and then back to that B note on the A string 2nd fret. Kind of stacking your notes there. Alright, the next measure we're going to play, hitting some open strings, strumming there. So, I play 0 on the D string, pull off 2 to 0, then the 2nd fret of the A string, and the open D string, and then a down up on the open D, G, and B. You put those 2 measures together and we have. just like that. So we're gonna need that lick twice to cover those 4 measures of G major. Okay, now moving on to line number 2. So far you had that D major chord sliding. We applied a lick to the G chord with a little strum at the end. If you can play the G chord shape while you do that, it's a little bit safer. All right, then get into the next line, we repeat that lick. Then we're gonna apply the same exact lick to the C major chord. Everything is starting now off of the A string. Hit some open strings to get yourself back to the G chord. All right, next, we're on to line number 3. Real slow, line number 3 is gonna sound like this. Getting started with D major. Okay, so we take the D major chord, slide down, up, just like we did in the intro. Then we're gonna play this great little descending line. One more time, real slow. Okay, so B string, 2nd fret, hammer into 3, pulling back to 2, and then pulling to the open string. Then we're gonna play the 3rd fret G string, open B, back to the 3rd fret. I know slow, that sounds really bizarre, but fast, it sounds great. All right, then the open G string, 3rd fret of the D string, and the open D finishes that lick, and the 2nd measure of D major. Then we're going to slide and set up our quick change C to G. So to do that cool little riff, this is a very common thing, we're going to slide. Ring finger slide into the 5th fret of the D string and the index to the 3rd fret of the B string from a half step back. Okay, so it's very similar to what we did to D major earlier. Slide, down, up, C, G. Okay, so once again. Slide, down, up, C, G. Finishes up the routine. Okay, now playing through that entire routine at a slow tempo. A 1, 2, 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1. For a bluegrass routine in the key of G. Alright everyone, thanks so much for checking out this bluegrass flat picking guitar lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much to my supporters at patreon.com/spifflessons. Thank you for making these lessons possible. I hope you're enjoying all your extra resources. I got many more videos coming up, so keep checking back. Please subscribe, please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia, saying happy picking.